everybody. What is up? It is Saturday night. There's only one place to be. It's on John Roca's YouTube channel right here with the Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow, folks, where we have 3 fantastic matches to break down in the Schmoedown world. Colin, of course, as it says below, joining me as always is the best group of 3 you could possibly ask there to be. I'm going to start with that glasses, jacket, shirt man down there. John Barr, how you doing?
That's right. It's me, John Barr, the first person to invent wearing glasses, jacket, and a shirt, even though I'm not wearing a jacket. It's very confusing. I understand. Don't get too hung up on it. That's why we're not here to talk about me and my infamous jacket, glasses, shirt combo. We're just here to talk Schmoedown.
Schmoedown is what we do, and no one knows it quite as in-depth as my boy Boggs over there. How's Boggs doing?
Me? Oh, wow, I thought you were going to say Soul, but okay. Yeah, no,
Me
I'm
too.
all good.
I also thought he was going to say Soul. That's
Gotcha. No, I'm just waiting for Soul to go, just to do the whole fast 10 filming there. But no, all good. Obviously I had a big week, got some big guests on, and can't wait to get into things. But I think we're going to say it a few times. Colin, join the show. Next week, we do have a different time for the show.
Yes. So after I introduce Soul, the fantastical, wonderful Soul, we will get to the latest news. Soul, how are you? And feel free to, tell everybody at home the wonderful news.
I got my first shot today. I'm half the way vaccinated, people. Pfizer shot early this morning at Marlins Park. Drove down to Little Havana here in Miami and got a shot. Nice.
And folks, come on. What else you want? By the time you'll see us next, I'll be fully vaccinated. And like Boggs teed up for us like it was 6-year-old T-ball in the park, next week, as you know, the free-for-all is going to be taking place right around now. So what are we going to do? We're going to move to Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Gonna, do our best to, pull some guests out of the free-for-all, see what we can do. We like to put on a good show for you, but we're going to mention it a bunch of times tonight. Make sure you're here next Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And if you want to get questions in next week, better, join that Patreon. Get in that Discord, of course, because Soul has the top comments from last week's episode. Soul, take it away.
All right. As always, our long and faithful Jeremy Miller, thank you so much for always making sure to make a comment. People, make your comments. I'll read them out loud. So Jeremy says, favorite moments from the show was John's story about The Last Jedi premiere and Stacy figuring out about Adam Smithy, the director. That was pretty funny last week.
Just got to educate the people sometimes,
Right.
It's not all entertainment here.
We have Chris Taylor going, good job, panel. After watching the Stacey Howard interview, all I want now is a Chris Pine-led Mummy movie. I also want that. Let's make it happen. Let's do a hashtag or something, along with the hashtag Make Solo 2 happen. I know that was from a few weeks ago, but make both of those hashtags happen. Come on, let's do it. And then we have Dean Morgan going, catching up with past episodes. Love what the show is doing. Hello, Dean. Welcome. I hope you're still watching.
Is that Jeffrey Dean Morgan? I'm
Who
just
knows,
going to
maybe.
go ahead and assume it is. But, folks, like I mentioned before, you can get those questions in the Discord. We got a special Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow server in there. We got great conversation going on. We're talking Schmoedown, all the stuff. You can be a part of it. Get those Streamlabs in at the wonderful address right here, www.streamlabs.com/the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. Now, we got 3 matches to talk about, and I'm excited for the one up top because, folks, we're just checking off the list. We've had guests after guest after guest that I'm like, ain't no way I'm ever going to get the honor and privilege to talk to some of the greats of the game, but we truly have one of just a solidified, bona fide star, truly an old schmoes that goes back to early seasons of the game. He's come back to show us that he's still got some gas in the tank. It is the Godfather himself, Drew McWeeny, is gracing us with his presence. Come on, sir. How are you doing?
I can't possibly live up to that introduction, but thank you. It's very nice to be here.
Well, we are huge fans of yours. I mean, me personally, I've been watching the game since season 2, so you coming around, it's just like we know what you can do. So we are excited that you are here, and the game's changed now.
It's a very different game. I will say that having now played my first match back, having played my first match over streaming, having basically gotten back into the process, it feels very different. I feel like a novice in some ways, and that's good. That's exciting. Like it's going to be fun to see how this dynamic changes the game, and it did the first time. It's a very weird experience. Obviously, I can't put hands on the wheel, so I can't do my voodoo, and that is upsetting. I relied on my voodoo with the wheel. But it was great. I definitely felt like I was a little rusty. I was out of practice with the game side of things, not just the question side of things. And all of that was a reminder that no matter how many times you've done it, no matter how long you've been playing, the Schmoedown requires you to show up every time and give yourself fully to the game. Like, you can't come in and halfway do it. You can't come in and assume it'll be easy. That's never the case.
Absolutely. And you set yourself up, let's get right into the match. I mean, round 1, it's just 2 greats. I mean, you got one person going perfect. You got someone shooting 7. Like, I mean, what can you ask for? I mean, that's pretty great statistics overall. I always say 6.5 is the margin you want to cover to be like a great player in the game. Getting 7, getting 9, right on. One question you missed, transcendence. I mean, come on, it's a long word. It's a long word. It's 15 seconds. That goes by pretty quick.
And it's one of those movie titles that says nothing about the movie. All you remember is the poster of Johnny Depp's face and the title you can't remember. Like, so.
You're like, it's a long name. I don't know what it is, but it's a long name.
It's something. It didn't describe anything. I remember that.
It was a lot of actresses, a lot of actors, and things that were in it. Boggs, your thoughts on round 1 and any thoughts and questions over to Drew?
Yeah, I mean, just first of all, it's just great to have you back in general.
Thank you,
being a part of the team that you're in with Sam. One of the best, kind of arguably the best team of all time. So it's a pleasure to have you back, and the amount of entertainment that you've given. And a funny thing actually, Drew, is that I've been in kind of over social media or even at work in work meetings. I don't know if you're aware, but that meme of you, that GIF of the "Let's make it happen," is appeared in work meetings, and I've gone like, "That's Drew McWeeny," and other people being like, "What the hell are you talking about?" They just use it as a general one.
My girlfriend had somebody use it to her and had no idea that it was me, and I think that's the weirdest it's ever gonna get in terms of seeing yourself show up somewhere as a meme. Yeah, it's very strange that it caught on, but cracks me up.
Viral fame is a weird thing.
And especially when they have no idea who you are. It's just the usage that catches on. So
Exactly. Also, as well, it's worth commenting. You actually physically look very different as well compared to how you obviously you dressed it in the promo as well. Have you been working out a lot, or what's going through your mind?
I started on keto about a year and a half ago. July of the year, July before the pandemic is when I started on it, and I'm down 115 pounds. So
congratulations!
It was one of those. Yeah, it was a lifestyle change that had to happen. And I'm 50 now, so it is definitely time to pay attention to what's going on with the body as I age, and it's made a huge amount of difference. I feel radically different. It has definitely been an energy difference, just an overall change in how I feel daily. So it's been great. We also got a dog who insists on being walked repeatedly every day. So that combination is pretty potent.
That's adorable. Oh, great. Well, let's go and get into round 2. This is, this wheel is so crazy because you spin romance, and right off the bat, I love the confidence. That's the one thing about you, Drew, is dating back seasons ago. You're like, what you know, and that is something I think some players might not have that strength where. You might have seen a movie, you know? You might not know the movie. You know what you know. You stick to it. You check down on question 1. You both miss it. Miley Cyrus is going to do that. It's a Nicholas Sparks movie. There's, 20 of them. It's all good. You check down on 3. You nail it. Question 4. You both miss on Christina Applegate, which, funny enough, the commenter on the video noticed that you said, all the 3 actresses mentioned were Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, and Christina Applegate, who all played sisters on Friends. Which I thought was a really weird coincidence. That was pretty good. But taking it back to the game, were you confident in that answer, or was that like something where you just didn't want him to have the guesses, or what was it?
Yeah, it's at that point it became strategy when I realized I was kind of bailing out on the category, and it's one of those where you take a shot. And I probably should have spun again. I probably should have taken a second spin. But, like I said, I haven't played in a while. And there's that feeling that I hate getting off of a category. I hate leaving a category because that's an implication that you don't know a genre or don't know. And really, it comes down to the luck of what that particular batch of questions is. I don't dislike romantic movies. There's plenty of them that are among my favorite films. So I figured I at least had a shot in the category. I wanted to be confident and not sort of be wishy-washy with my first spin. I probably should have taken a second. And so once you realize that the category is not working out for you, that you're just having a run of luck, then it is don't leave a lot of points open. Don't leave it so that they can necessarily poach from you. That becomes very important.
Yeah, and it talks about the gamemanship, which you talked about your manager. So I'll throw it over to John. Like, now this reunion of Sam and Drew, proving that gamesmanship is obviously still at an all-time high.
Absolutely, yeah. It's always fun to see these sorts of reunions. Is John supposed to look like a black market kidney dealer? Yes. Anyway, and we could just go right past that. You saw it a little bit as well when Winston Marshall and Eric Zipper teamed back up at the start of this season as well. Kind of this weird cyclical nature of the Schmoedown. Folks who had been kind of together previously, and then obviously with the anarchy nonsense, with the introduction of the factions, it's sort of like we're starting to see that reset a little bit, where it's like there are certain people who are just meant to be together. And in this instance, it's Drew and Sam, and you could really see that gamesmanship and that kind of relationship flourish a lot in this match.
Yeah, let's take it over to what Lon had, and he first spins Paul Newman. Would have loved to have seen what he could have done in that, but checks off of that, landing on Scar Joe. And only has to check down twice, hits them both, so he walks out with 6 points. It's 15-10. Has a bit of an issue with the wording of the last question. It was a bit confusing because it's like, you want me to sit there and like spell out like the dots and all the whatever stuff that goes along with the operating system and stuff, but but he gets it right anyways, checks down. And I'll throw this over to Soul. Lon, S.W.A.G seems to, this is what you've been seeing from Lon. Winston really talked it up at the beginning of the match as well.
Yeah, we're seeing, because Lon is not known for doing well in round 1 so far these past 2 games. He got perfect this time. He's doing pretty well in round 2. So, he stepped it up a lot. And I'm sorry, Drew. I picked Lon in this because I am S.W.A.G, but sure. It's okay. But sure. I love you anyways, Drew. If it was any other person, I would have gone for you and picked you this time. But I just was just like, yes, Lon, you're finally showing kind of just the player that I know you to be. And I know the last question with her, he kind of missed a little bit of gamesmanship there, because my thought process would be like, the other person's not going to know the number and dots of the actual formation. I would have just said Samantha right out and see whether or not I could get it. So I think he missed a little bit of gamesmanship there, but at the same time, I've never played, so I don't know what it is like to be under the lights. So it makes sense why he checked down to multiple choice in that.
These comments, you guys.
John Barr's getting attacked.
Crushing John Barr. I'm loving it.
Don't know why, John. Sorry.
The mustache is just it just draws the attention, my man. I just absolutely love it.
Hey, I'm
Round-
comfortable, and if you're really curious about the mustache, you can always check out the Tournament of Nerds tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard, and that'll explain everything.
Love it. I can never turn down a shameless plug from John Barr. Taking us over to round 3. Drew, you nail your 2 and your 3, making it 15-15. Where are you thinking? Where are you at right there?
Well, that's all you can do. When you get to that final thing, it's just, okay, look, this is my last chance to make points. And with Lon, the thing that I really like about Lon as a competitor, and Lon's one of those guys, the knowledge base is there. I know, just talking movies with Lon, that he has soaked up so much, that he is one of those guys that's very intuitive. It's all bouncing around in there. For him, it's a matter of recall. It's can he access it on a given day? Which is a lot like me. I've had days where I'm sitting up there and they're like, the big flying thing in the Avengers that Captain America uses. And you're like, I know there's a name for it. What is it? My brain sometimes just won't pull up the most basic thing. I think we've all had those days. But man, when Lon is on, you really can't give him an inch. So in that last round, it was very much a case of I gotta go really hard here and make sure I get these.
And then, he checks over, nails that 2-pointer, making it 17-15, which I'm assuming the question writers all watched 12 Monkeys together. Was the second 12 Monkeys reference of the week. So 12 Monkeys on the brain. Maybe competitors go watch 12 Monkeys, maybe. It's come up twice this week. So we'll see where it comes up again. Maybe we'll get a counter 12 Monkeys watch. So, 17-15, we get down to the 5-pointer, which is truly, that's a banger. You really got to dig deep on that. Drew, where did your mind start? Take me through the Wikipedia click fest that happened.
Okay, so ask me the question and I'll walk you through the process.
Okay, I got it right here. Joey King plays Brooklyn Harding, Michael Caine's granddaughter, in what 2010s film also featuring Morgan Freeman?
So immediately, I started thinking about Michael Caine as the entrance point, because Michael Caine is one of those guys who he's had various runs. There's the Nolan films. I know it's not a Nolan film because I can't put together Joey King and Morgan Freeman for Nolan. So no, it's definitely not one of those. What were the other ones he was doing around the beginning of the 2010s? I know he did. I went and visited the set of one of the Mysterious Island movies. Was that it? Because I know he was in that, and that had kids in it. Was Joey King in that, or was that before she? So that's what the process is. You start. I used as Caine as my entryway, and Morgan Freeman I would never use because Morgan Freeman's in 9 million films a year. There's no way to pin Morgan Freeman down as the entrance point. Like, you have to come the other direction. So, yeah, it's just you. I really tried starting to pin down Michael Caine, and that's a very vague period for him. Like, there's a lot of stuff that he was doing right around then.
Yeah, it's just great to. I love that. Okay, we just might need to do a whole segment on the show now where we get competitors to break down their process, because that's perfect. That's exactly what you need to do, though. But hearing that's just a hard question. Boggs, that's a 5-pointer in remakes, in reboots. Did you?
Yeah.
There's no way I could have pulled that. How about you?
I've never even heard of the movie.
Me.
And I love the original. And the answer's going in style, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I love the original, and that's actually a hindrance for me. Because I know I saw the remake, and I also know I sat through most of the remake simmering and just going, no, and reject. So, it's not in there. It's not a movie that's bouncing around in there actively. And that's not necessarily the best way to store information when you're trying to compete like this. So, yeah, that's one of those that I think I bounced off of so hard that I would have never come up with going in style, ever.
Yeah, that's why I can't do any Full Metal Alchemist trivia, because then I'll get that confused with the reboot of the anime series, and then I'll just get all pissed off. They'll be like, which homunculus was Eric and Alphonse's mom? I just punched my computer.
I was actively yelled at by people for starting the first one because I was unaware that the second, that Brotherhood, was a straight just redo of the whole thing. I thought it was the second series, and they just got throttled on Twitter. Like, no, you have to watch Brotherhood. Oh man, they are crazy folks. But we have some great folks in the patron section of John Roka's
Championship segue.
Discord. I do what I can, man. I do what I can. I do what I can. And you can be in the Discord. Get on over there, www.patreon.com/John Roka. Soul, what questions do those awesome patrons have for Drew?
All right, first we have Jeremy Miller again going, what belt do you want most, singles or teams?
Well, I know that Sam and I are definitely talking about how teams is going to work, and it's finding the right person. I'm not going to rush to necessarily get a partner. It's going to be a matter of us making sure that we have the right chemistry and the right person and the right way to push forward. I've played teams enough that I know what I want in a partner. And Sam does too. Sam's very smart about it. I know Sam's got his eye on prospects. I know he's thinking. I trust him to manage that to happen. So for me, singles, I definitely feel like singles has always been a place where I have done okay, but not great. And I've got one of those records where my accuracy rate is really high, but I'll come just shy of winning a number of matches. So I want to push that over. I want to turn that around and actually get a winning record under my belt. And yeah, a belt there would be a real vindication of the time I put in playing.
Well, we saw with your former partner, Andrew Guy, beating Dan Merle when he came back. And then Dan Merle ended up getting the team's belt, the belt that he was looking after because he'd won the singles belt how many times, right? And so I kind of have this feeling that you got your first loss coming back. I think you're going to get that belt that you want.
Well, we will see. I definitely have a fire in my belly, and I've got some specific goals. There's, without tipping my hand, I have a list of about 5 people in the league that I would very much like to sit opposite and beat. Not just
we know
play,
one of them,
but beat. Well, yes, Mr. Bateman's already been served notice, and he's aware. He knows. We spoke about it again this week. That's coming. But I got my other list too, and it will be very gratifying to make that happen.
Well, you heard it here first. Drew McWeeny is gunning for Boggs. Get excited for Drew McWeeny versus Boggs.
Leave me out of it.
Coming up in 2 weeks. Drew McWeeny is out for Boggs' blood. It's going to be vicious.
Yeah, well, you know.
There you go.
Well, we have... well, we have Chris Taylor here going, now that you're back and the Schmoedown is more tough, have you changed the way that you've studied?
I study more by osmosis. I watch so much in a given week, and I am constantly, as I said, I'm in the middle of digitizing my video library behind me. I'm turning all of my discs into video files so that I can store them all on a server and watch them easily. And it's been a process that I've been working on for a while. In doing that, I am constantly looking at my movies. I am constantly looking at making sure the thing is matched correctly, making sure it's the right version of the movie, so I'm constantly looking at cast lists. And it's weird. It's become my form of studying in a way. As I'm putting my 8,000 movies into my server, I have been refreshing myself on all those movies and stuff that I haven't seen in a while. And so that definitely helps, and it's been a way of studying. I am definitely open to kind of shifting. I know that there's a studying that goes on in the league, that there is a system that people have that seems to be very aggressive and very effective. So I am aware that I may be up against people that have a method that is, hard to combat. So yeah, I may have to adjust the way I do things.
It's like the Marvel diet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, geez, if everybody else has an 8-pack.
Shit, why not me?
I've got 2 quick questions for you.
Or I might just Mark Ruffalo, because, that's a pretty good gig, too.
Exactly. 2 quick questions for you. So, because, first time having you on, and, you don't appear on too many after shows, so I don't know if you addressed it previously, but what is the match that you've been in? What's your all-time favorite match that you've been in, number 1? And number 2, since you've left, who is kind of maybe not your favorite player, or who are your kind of, if you have been keeping up with the league, that is, who are the kind of players that interest you most, just generally in any division?
the division that interests me most is Intergeekdom, and it's just watching the deep dives into specific knowledge. My brain's a little bit of a sieve. I'm very old, and so I definitely retain a broad sense of things. There is no way I could go toe to toe with these people on Lord of the Rings or on Star Wars. I've been a Star Wars fan since 1977. I saw it 35 times in the theater that year. I am definitely an old school Star Wars fan. And I grew up with the toys and the books and the everything else. I was part of the early internet reporting on Star Wars when that was the dawn of the internet. There's no question that I would not do well in that league. Like, the depth of knowledge and the trivial knowledge is so far beyond me. So that, in general, blows me away. I really am impressed by the competition and the level of competition in those leagues. It terrifies me, frankly. I try to watch as much as I could. Part of the reason that I didn't play last year was I was incredibly busy. And so I got a little bit away from it. But as I started to watch, one of the things that I really love is that so many new people are sitting at the table now. So many new types of players. So many players that feel like they want it very, very badly. It's not just a show with the same 15 or 20 people in the league from season to season now. You got to come ready to earn your spot at the table. It really feels like the people that are there playing really want to play now, and they really want to win. And so there's a different level of competitiveness. It feels like people are hungrier now than they ever have been.
And what was your favorite match that you've been
my
in?
all-time favorite.
Yeah.
It's the time we destroyed the Patriots. There was a deep satisfaction in that. There is the way we are on camera. There is the way we are as we're preparing for the games, and that was the greatest combination of the two. In terms of, Sam and I very much wanted to win that match, and it was for any number of reasons, and it felt very hard-earned. The Patriots deserved the run they had. They absolutely were that team. So that was not a victory that we took lightly. And it was not a victory that was easy, and it just felt great. I've seen the clip a million times. It is the most genuine reaction you'll probably ever see from me. But it's because that was a moment where all of it kind of came together, the show and everything else.
Great moment. Go ahead, Tom.
All right, and we have from Drunken Prayer, which I think we'll see him a little later today as well, going, apart from movies, what other subject are you weirdly knowledgeable about?
The history of the intelligence agencies in the United States. I'm fascinated by spy trade, not just in the U.S., but around the world. I've spent a lot of years reading about the CIA, the FBI, the various overseas spy organizations. I'm fascinated by that in general. That kind of Cold War history, and the Cold War era, growing up at the tail end of that, I think, was part of that. And also, I think my first political memory, this is how old I am, I remember Watergate on television and hearing about Watergate happening. And just the idea that the government might be shady, I think, as a little kid, colors everything that you believe, or everything you kind of see after that. So I grew up in a very cynical moment in American history, and it just led me to study the way we have our secret history and our public history. So.
Oh my God. How much do you love The Americans?
It's a very smart show and a lot of fun, and an era that I still think we have barely explored in terms of what was going on in this country. Truly.
And you find yourself being drawn to those movies because of that knowledge that you've acquired?
Well, I love spy movies. It also probably helps that I had a dad who was James Bond obsessed and spy obsessed and raised me watching that stuff. So yeah, those movies are terrific. And I love the various eras. I love 60s spy stuff because it's very kitschy and very of a time. And I love a movie that I think is deeply, deeply underrated, that I think gets a lot of this stuff right, is Robert De Niro's The Good Shepherd. which he directed and stars in, and with Matt Damon in it. It's a terrific film about sort of the big broad strokes of this history that I'm talking about, and really nails some of the stuff that fascinates me.
Yeah, it is some fascinating stuff. I find myself, because my dad's very much into those things as well, that like I've explored it with him, because that's something that the movies he likes to watch and the books he likes to read as well. So like he's like, hey, read this book.
Well, and it's the tension also between the way Hollywood treats it, which is always souped up, and James Bond is, of course, like what most people think of when you say a spy, and then the reality of it, which is much more like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, or the little gray men in offices, or the faceless guys who are not necessarily doing car chases and things exploding. So like that, the difference between those fascinates me as well. That's one of the reasons the real history is so much fun to dig into.
And then we have our last question here from Justin T going, what's your favorite Alfred Hitchcock film?
Ooh, it's funny. We've been doing a lot of them recently with the boys, my 16 and 13-year-old, and they are getting into Hitchcock. Like, they really dig his work now. And the one that I haven't shown them yet that is probably my favorite is Vertigo. I love Vertigo. I think it is sweaty and obsessive, and it is revealing in ways Hitchcock probably didn't intend. I feel like it is the closest thing to an X-ray we'll ever have of that guy. If you want to understand him and the way he worked and the way his brain worked, Vertigo is a window into him. I think Rear Window is a terrific piece of just pure entertainment. That's one that you can show almost anyone, and it just holds up. It is a perfectly staged movie. It's just a long list of classics, but I really do. I think for me, Vertigo, the lush nature of it, that Kim Novak performance, Jimmy Stewart at his absolute most cracked, it is something else. And I just recently upgraded to 4K Blu-ray, and that was one of the first ones I watched, and it's like a fever dream. You put it on, and you just feel like something's wrong, like your brain is starting to sweat a little bit. It's great.
All right, Colin, I think we got some patrons that want to ask some questions, right?
Come on down first, of course. It's Drunken Prayer.
Nope. Hey, sorry, I was checking my phone there.
How you doing, bud?
No,
What do
but
you got for Drew?
Well, seeing as Saul asked my Discord question already. Just thinking about your God, what were you saying about being obsessed with like kind of military history and the secret services?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll ask, what's your favorite spy movie?
My favorite spy movie? I think for the movie that to me nails the things that fascinate me about spycraft and about the work they do is Coppola's Conversation. The Conversation is a terrific movie about the weird human toll that it takes on you to constantly be prying into other people's lives. How you begin to suspect that you have no privacy, how you begin to lose track of where that line even is, and also just the way paranoia then sets in. If you haven't seen the movie, Gene Hackman stars in it, and it is pound for pound maybe my favorite Coppola film. It is an unbelievable thriller, and it has an ending that I find haunting. It's one of those that I've never really shaken.
All right, no, I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah.
And I'm paranoid enough about being spied on, so I don't think I want to be more paranoid. So thank you very much. I will be avoiding it.
I should check that out because I think my favorite spy movie might still be Men in Black, which I'm sure does not count in most circles. So that's probably.
It's all right. Mine's Spy Kids, so it's fine.
They're both about as realistic as James Bond.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
And I do love, if you're looking for like a traditional spy film like from that era, I really love the Harry Palmer films that Michael Caine starred in. Billion Dollar Brain is one of them. Those are really fun, and there's a number of them, so check those out as well.
Love it. Drunken Prayer, you are always a pleasure. Thank you so much, and shout out to you, sir, for the fantastic Harry Potter match that you put on Sunday between me
Yeah, on
and Soul
Patreon, you
Nation.
can watch those too.
Yeah, check that out on John Roca's Patreon as well.
I forgot that happened. Soul and I had a conversation about that.
Yeah, I'm sure you and Soul did have a conversation about that. How she was somehow asked her 5 8-pointer first, her 3-pointer second, and then her 2-pointer last. It was so very weird how those orders of
That
questions
is not
got flipped around.
what we talked about. No.
Oh no,
boy.
it was that you the answer to the question was revealed on Soul Talk, which
That's right.
you should also listen to as well.
I specifically made fun of her for knowing the information that later won her a match. So,
Well, Soul, I believe we might have one more Discord question, possibly from Brian Brawler. I believe he asked, Drew, is there
I have it right here.
Oh, sorry, you got it, Soul.
He goes, what is a movie that you're surprised hasn't been asked about in your favorite category?
Oh, in the 80s category?
At PJ Campbell.
Yeah, I am surprised that they haven't started to broaden, because there's a number of movies, the John Hughes films and the Beverly Hills Cops and the films that are fairly iconic for the 80s. We've certainly touched upon, and there have been a number of questions about. I am looking forward to them broadening the scope of what they consider 80s movies. Blue Velvet is an 80s movie. Raising Arizona is an 80s movie. There are terrific movies that we have barely touched on from that decade. Moonstruck is an 80s movie. There are movies that I really feel like exemplify the very best of that decade and have barely been asked about. I'm not sure how many Do the Right Thing questions have been there, and if you were to ask me what the best film of the 80s would be, that's it. So yeah, I think we should broaden the scope a bit, simply because the longer that category's in there, the more you can't go back to certain wells. You can't keep asking about John Hughes films. We've asked it. We have stripped the buffalo of all the parts at this point. So I'm excited to see them figure out how to keep those categories active and interesting.
that's right.
Do the right thing, folks. That's what you got. That's the answer. And Drew, we started something new here in the last couple of weeks. We've been given competitors that are awesome enough.
Hold on a second, Colin.
Sorry.
Scratch that. Breaking news. We actually got another patron slipped in right under the wire to come ask another question live.
Oh my goodness, it's my
Excellent.
favorite.
We got the director here.
Alan Smithy himself. Come on down.
Good afternoon, everyone.
See,
Am I
Drew
working?
gets it. I could tell by that truckle.
There you go.
Drew gets it.
There
Drew
you go.
knows
Love your work,
what's
sir.
up. Thank you very much. I love my work too. Almost no one else does, but I appreciate that you are. Anyway, I might have missed some of the things that were being discussed. I just heard some 80s conversation, but I was here to ask Drew, what is it about the 80s that makes it a special decade of film for yourself? Because I know you do your podcast, or you used to.
I did. I think it's because that I turned 10 in 1980. And that decade, from when you're 10 to when you're 20, whatever that decade is for you, that's going to be the decade where you are the widest open and you're kind of soaking in film in the least judgmental fashion. You don't really have your filters up yet. You're not really at the point where you're like, well, I only like this or I only like this. When you're 10 years old, if you're movie crazy, you are movie crazy. You are just like, whatever it is, I'm ready. Bring it in. And that was the era where video started to happen. So my parents were fairly early adopters for that. We had friends that opened a VHS store. We helped them with that. We would process tapes at the house. And literally anything that came through, I would watch. I didn't care. It just, to me, was, this is a movie. That means I'm interested. Let's go. And
All right.
I feel like that decade was that's why. So when I think of the 80s, I really think that the broad spectrum of it and everything that happened in the 80s. And it is very interesting to me because, of course, it influenced me. I think a lot of that negatively. I think there were a lot of crazy, toxic things going on in our culture in the 80s. And by and large, we were raised by crazy people. And so it's fascinating to go back and look at that and try and pull it apart and look at why things were popular, look at what was going on in the world that was making them popular. I think I am uniquely qualified because I was that age during that decade to comment on the way it felt.
Right.
It's one of the reasons I think the Schmoedown is very heavily weighted. If you read the questions, if you really pay attention to the way questions are asked, I know that these were 90s kids writing the questions. I know it because it's very oriented towards the experience of having been a child in the 90s. The children's films that there is a strong nostalgia for on the show are 90s films. And
like Pixar
then
and
the
a lot of that.
2000s, you can feel that that's when people came of age and they were absorbing everything. So it's really forced me to think about how I don't have that perspective, and I have to keep that in mind when I'm thinking about the questions that may be asked on the show.
All right.
What would you say is your guilty pleasure 80s movie, and what is the worst 80s movie you've seen?
Oh, God. The worst 80s movie is a tie. There are two movies from that decade that I truly consider war crimes, and having rewatched them for the podcast, I am owed reparations. They are... one is called Slapstick of Another Kind, and it stars Jerry Lewis and Madeline Kahn. It's adapted from a Kurt Vonnegut novel, loosely.
Which novel?
Slapstick.
Oh,
And
that
it
is. Oh, that's right.
It is a nightmare of epic proportions. They play mutant mongoloid twins who... their rich parents are also played by Madeline Kahn and Jerry Lewis, are so horrified by them when they're born that they buy them a mansion and they are raised by servants and never ever spoken to or taken outside. But whenever they put their heads together, they are the smartest person on the planet. Marty Feldman is in the film. It's an abomination.
Wait, Pat Morita's in that film too.
Oh, Pat Morita is in that film.
All right.
And I'm not kidding. The delegate from the UN who is this big and flies around in a fortune cookie. It's an
That
insane
sounds
film.
like Kurt Vonnegut right there.
Yeah.
Kurt Vonnegut movies never work. It's almost like when you remove Kurt Vonnegut's voice, it's not the same thing. So even like Slaughterhouse-Five, even though it's a good film, it's not the same as the book.
I think John Irving is much the same way. There are authors that live on the page that do not work on screen very well.
Yeah.
And I think the more outrageous they are, the harder that is. The other 80s film that I consider truly unfathomable in how bad it is the Garbage Pail Kids movie. It is one of the few movies that I feel like it smelled bad in the theater. Like sitting in the theater, the actual auditorium stank. It is so horrifying. Based on a line of trading cards that were parodies of a popular doll line at the time, that sentence already makes me feel like I'm having a stroke.
They're back. Buy them at Target. You can flip them for double the money.
And then the movie is puppets and a musical and horror is really those three words pretty much sum it up. Just
unintentional horror. Actually, my childhood nickname was based on one of the Garbage Pail Kids. I was called Cheeky after Cheeky Charles, if you remember that one. Cheeky Charles had a huge head with a tiny face in the middle, so it was probably
those things come rolling out in the
always
live action
appreciate
film.
you.
Yeah, when they come rolling out in the movie, it's just you never want to stop screaming.
Ouch. Yeah. I kind of consider that like the mid 70s to the end of the 80s is like this amazing era in invention and creativity. And then we've kind of started in a postmodern repeat of a lot of these. So we're still seeing Star Wars and we're still seeing Indiana Jones, and rarely are they as good. I like
it is
the
weird
Dark
because
Crystal show. That was a good one.
The 80s are 40 years ago now, and my kids actively watch 80s movies on a regular basis. 80s culture is very much alive, and their friends watch 80s movies on a regular basis. My friends in the 80s were not watching 40s movies the same way. No. So it has held on to pop culture in a way that other decades did not. And I really don't see it relinquishing that grip anytime soon unless something truly shakes up this sort of nostalgic fix that we're in right now.
Drew, I'm sure you agree with me when I say that Krull is one of the greatest films ever made. He's thinking hard about that one. He's like,
I'm
Smithy, you're too much.
I agree that you think that.
Thank you.
Smithy, thank you so much for hanging out. I think that's the perfect way to end that. We will see you next week.
Good to
Appreciate
meet you, Drew.
as always.
Thank you, man.
Drew, thank you so much for getting through the patrons with us. We have now given some other competitors the opportunity to talk a little smack to the league. Let them know why they're not somebody who should be messed with. So remind those, maybe some newcomers out there, why the Godfather still reigns supreme.
I have, first of all, I love this game. I genuinely enjoy this game. I want to be playing again. This is not simply because Christian is damnably persuasive and incredibly persistent. I mean, yes, that's part of it. But I'm back because I want to prove that I was not a fluke, that my accuracy rate is not a fluke, that I can put this together and win this game consistently. Beyond that, I would simply say I have been watching movies longer than many of my competitors have even been aware movies exist. I am a very old man. I have had a lot of years for input. I have seen more things than many of you will ever be able to catch up on, and I can put it in context. Studying is one thing. Loving these movies is something else. So, yeah, I think I'm a tough combination to beat, guys.
Folks, that's why Sam knew exactly what he was doing when he made the call. And he knew exactly who we was calling. And so did we. We knew we were calling it great when we asked him to come on the show. So, sir, thank you so much for hanging out with us on Saturday night.
My pleasure.
And we cannot wait to see, one, who Sam comes up with for your partner, because he has set the standard high. So it's got to be someone deserving.
Yeah, he knows. He knows what the bar is, and he knows that if it's not at least at that level, he knows how unhappy I'll be. So,
and any plugs, please, sir, take the floor. Let the people know where they can find more of you.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Drew McWeeny, or you can find me at drewmcweeny.substack.com, which is my newsletter. We have free issues, but there is also a paid subscription newsletter, and I've got some really exciting stuff that I can't talk about coming up later this year that will be premiered through the newsletter. But it's a good year, so yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what people think as these things start to roll out.
Awesome. And I'm ready for you to beat Ben Bateman. Like, I'm here for it.
We all are. We all are.
We'll see it in person, please. Pay-per-view. I'll pay the money. I'll pay the ticket. So everybody make sure we'll do the tests. We'll get the NBA technology where they know whether or not you're good or not to come on in.
There you go.
I'll pay all the money in the world.
Who doesn't want that?
Oh, give me the popcorn right next to Boggs. Boggs and I are sitting there. Oh, my God. It'd be great. Be great. Drew, thank you so much. It was truly a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much for hanging out. You're welcome anytime, sir.
Take care, man.
See you next time. Check another one off the list, folks. That's like D Wade. That's like seeing Dwayne Wade in person. Like, check it off the list. All right. Who we got next week? You'll find out. Also,
John, do you know who D Wade is? Or
Of course. Well, he said Dwayne Wade right after, so that helped.
What team did he play for? What team did he play for? Boggs and John Barr.
I literally don't know who.
Probably played for
the
a team.
Heat.
There you go.
Boggs
nailed it.
Is that for real?
Boggs is the point.
Here we go. We got it together. Boggs
Love
and
it.
I both got to the correct answer at the same time.
It was a team effort. Team effort.
You know what was a team effort is the two competitors who weren't on a team but together teamed up to have a really incredible match in the Star Wars division, and that's
crushed
a
it.
good segue.
That was, yeah. I mean, I would give that like a 4.20 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I
thought you were going to give it out of 5, and I was going to be like,
I was trying to give him a 420 in honor next week, but we'll throw it on over to the
I don't
next.
clock that reference.
Okay, that's fine. I was going in, y'all. We got Star Wars now, so Boggs and I know it's about to get sweaty up in here. You're about to hear some fantastic jokes from John Barr, and it's gonna be absolutely ridiculous because we got Thomas Harper. Come on now, it is the major.
I'll give that segue a 10. There you go. There you go.
John.
The Olympics,
got my
2020.
Hold on, out of how many? Yeah.
That's the question you don't ask. We call that the one question too many.
Take the 10.
Thomas, returning guest, thank you so much. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm gonna kick it on over to Boggs because there's no other co-pilot in the galaxy. I'd rather throw it on over. Take it away, sir.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations. You know, you made your debut. A winning one as well. Just first of all, overall kind of thoughts on your first match. Obviously, you've been studying, all the pressure going in. You know, obviously being an extremely hyped up rookie, potentially one of the most ever, I'd say. So yeah, how was that pressure going in? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, so first of all, it was like a tidal wave kind of crashing over you. I left immediately after the match. I didn't remember like anything. I remembered maybe one question. I remember like commentary back and forth, jokes that were made. I didn't remember jokes that I attempted to make. Whether they landed or not is another question. But it was just funny that the kind of adrenaline rush and all the adrenaline dumped out of my body as soon as the match was over, and I was just like beat and had to go immediately to bed. But yeah, it's really weird the world of like hype where you don't have any role in creating it, because there were a lot of people, I think, you know, whether they got drafted here or ended up in the FCL, that were out there like pulling the Babe Ruth, like pointing the bat to the fence and just calling out people. And that's just not my style. Like, I'm confident in my abilities and I'll certainly project that. But, you know, it's one thing to go out there and try to self-generate hype, and then you got to deal with what you created. It's another thing to have just people talking about you. And it's like, it was just odd to me, folks talking about Dragon Con the way they did, because it was almost like Wakanda, like this impenetrable thing, like nobody could ever
Sorry,
like,
that's our fault. We should take the responsibility, guys.
You guys started it. It was just, you know. So, but no, and the irony is, like, you can go right now online, you can find the entry quiz from last year and take it and just kind of see like how that is, and you can watch the finals. And so it was just like a head scratcher to me. But you know, going in, it was no different than any time I've ever competed. Like, all that faded out, and you're just focused in on the questions, and it's just you know, you get one right and you move on. Like the famous Jimmy Valvano, Jimmy V from NC State, you know, survive and advance, and that was my mantra from question to question. So, and I'm just fortunate it worked out this time.
Yeah, and of course you crashed the dungeon as well. You hacked into the systems, of course, and yeah, so that was pretty cool. You know, some good back and forth there. How was that kind of flexing with Kaiser and obviously Adam Witt? You know, they're just so kind of their impromptu humor almost. Yeah, how was that? Caught in your first promo.
That was brilliant. That was the two of them are hilarious, like pure uncut hilarity. It was their idea. They reached out to me, like, credit to Kaiser for extending the olive branch, so to speak. And Witt wrote the script and was just like phenomenal on it. And it was one of those things where, like, first draft, you're like, this is amazing. Like, I have no changes to this. And like, how did you whip this up in an hour? And what's funny is, like, my voice is jacked up on it. And that was a tech issue that I didn't realize. Like, my mic was messed up. And they didn't say anything. Like, Kaiser has talked to me before. He knows I don't sound like that.
It sounds like an effect. That was so good.
And yeah, it worked out for the story. But Witt had never talked to me. Like, we traded DMs and emails before. But I'm like, did you think that's how I sounded? Like, I sound like I'm calling in a ransom demand. You know,
they suited it. Yeah, I thought it was like an effect that they put on.
But yeah, it was a blast, and I'm glad it got in there uncut. Wow.
Shout out to Brian Brawley. Yeah, he keeps the lights on here. So yeah,
Brian,
thank you so much.
You're the man.
Very nice.
Oh wait, this is because the weenie guy was saying words that didn't make me want to hurt myself. He said he just woke up from a nap in the comments, and he was like, I would be less petty, but this conversation is actually stimulating. And also, apparently, D Wade played for the, I'm going to say the Poughkeepsie Pikas. I'm going to say. That's going to be the team name.
Sounds right.
Sounds right.
Great minor league baseball team, Nintendo.
Poughkeepsie
Hop on that.
Pika was my favorite Star Wars character, for sure.
I knew it.
Little known, you know.
I was gonna say, Adam Witt, he's been making these sketches we saw last year with Molly Damon and Alex Damon, that sketch that they did. So I just love everything that he's coming up with. And like, even though he's an amazing player, which we'll get into later, but the fact that he keeps making all of these wonderful promos and coming up with these skits, I just want to see him play more because of that.
I envy how loose he plays, because that's just him. He doesn't have to act. He's that funny. He's that natural. And I wish that I had that sort of looseness to go into things. That's like one of the biggest, I think, advantages that he has over other players. And like, you know, I don't want to jump ahead of things, but like folks are like, he stepped up his game. I think he finally played to his true potential. He's got, with a performance like that, he'd beat just about anybody in the league, save a very small handful of people. And I think that's going to be sort of the standard you see from him going forward.
Yeah, I agree. Like, for me, he also had one of my best ever Schmoedown moments when he got that 5-pointer. I think it was Daphne Dufresne or something from the Phantom Menace. When he pulled that out, and then the kind of, I think Sean Sullivan high-fived and Kaiser came and kind of hugged him. The crowd was going crazy. I was like, oh, that was awesome. And he lost that match, and he still, that was such a great moment. I'll throw it to Colin. Obviously, the score at the end of the first round was 11-8. Of course, Thomas getting a perfect round and the bonus question as well. Your thoughts on round one and any questions for Thomas?
All right, folks. I'll put this into some terms that some of y'all might understand. All right, there's some cards that you might want to invest in, like this first round draft pick, Chipper Jones right here. All right, when a man comes out and drops 11 in his first round and barely looks like he breaks a sweat, I am in. I am all in. If I'm buying stock, it is Thomas Harper stock. Look, we started this train. This is the first show you came on. I watched your stuff the week before you came on, the whole thing. Man, you got it locked down. I talk about this all the time. The players who, when I see your head drop down, I'm a scout. I'm like a baseball scout. I watch you. I don't watch your answers. I watch you while you write your answers, and you're a killer. You know what you
Thank
know,
you.
and you got it down. And I would love to see you actually use a repeat. I want to see the question that truly makes you second guess yourself.
You saw it in this round.
But like really
round
see it. Really see it and take you to that like gotta dig moment, because your recall, man, that's what I took away, Boggs. It was that it's there and it's scary.
Yeah, at ease, soldier. That's what I was thinking. So obviously going into the second round, of course, you've gone first. Going perfect. You did have to go multiple choice though on the Dagobah I feel cold statement question. What was the overall? Because obviously we know you know the answer, but any reason for going multiple choice at all, or any kind of other reason behind it at all? I was just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was in a strong position there. I didn't want to give up. It was a process of working through things, and with a 3-point lead going into round two, my thinking is why gamble on that? Let's just be sure. It's also, if you go watch Empire Strikes Back, that word is on the screen for like a millisecond. Like, people probably blink longer than that word is on the screen. And I think if you don't have subtitles on, you may never even it doesn't even sound like Mark Hamill's voice. It sounds like a ghost, quite frankly, like the dark side manifesting from the cave saying this thing. And I'm not entirely convinced that Mark Hamill delivered that line, even though it's listed as his line in the script. But yeah, so if there's a question to sort of take your time on and just be sure, it's something like that,
Yeah, and then Witt going, because that was probably the biggest surprise of you playing. It was like, oh, he's got multiple choice. Like, I couldn't believe it. It was like,
right out of the gate.
Even though it's such a minor thing. Yeah, it was like, oh no, he's done it. He's got multiple choice. And then obviously Witt's gone next. He spawned Rogue One. He's gone perfect. Showing his what a just all around good player he is. Solid entertainer, funny, great promos. Like, he's ticking so many boxes. So you're kind of willing him to go. So at the same time, like, you're willing him to win, but of course you want to see how good you are as a player as well. So it was that kind of contradiction for everyone watching as they're playing. What are your thoughts on round two? And any questions for Thomas?
He did what every player wants to do in their round two when they're down in round one. Because you want to go perfect. You want to lessen that lead by the competitor a little bit. And I love too the confidence that he had. He was like, I spun away the last 2 times I played and I regretted it. So I'm going to stick on this, even though we had Lacey a few weeks ago going, yeah, Rogue One and Solo have the most like Star Wars knowledge kind of stuff in them. So those are a little bit like ancillary knowledge that is a little harder to retain. And so the fact too that he stuck with one of those movies, that impressed me even more with Adam Witt, where before I was like, oh, he's a fun player. I like seeing him in each division because he is a triple threat. I was like, oh, he's actually also really, really good in Star Wars. So I want to ask you, Thomas, seeing him go perfect, because you did have to drop down to multiple choice. Like, what were your thought process of like how round 3 was going to go after watching his performance in round 2?
I knew from the start that round 1, him missing those questions, that was I guess a nice feeling in some way, but I knew it was going to 5. I had that feeling, and I'm probably going to have that feeling in every match just because that's the way the division is, but he's that good. So it didn't surprise me at all. And those weren't easy questions by any measure for Rogue One. So watching him go, it was funny. I didn't tip my hand as much as I thought, but I'm obviously playing along with the questions, and I'm like, all right, you got that. I didn't think you were going to get that, but you got that. I'm impressed. So I was, I respected the heck out of his performance there. And when we came out, I was like, okay, whatever happened with those 2 commander answers in round 1, that's gone. And just be prepared for him to hit all 3, and you're going to have to take it all the way. So, yeah, that was my mindset, and I like that Kate made the comment, like, let's not hang the banner, the mission accomplished banner. Yeah, and I'm thinking like, oh man, that's about exactly how I'm feeling. So let's just get through the next 3 questions.
Yeah, and I really like her kind of before going into round 3 as well, which she's, although you were focused, but she just kind of kept you in that, just kind of kept you sharp, with the little team talk. Just said, come on, let's kind of win the game out, let's see it out, and keep the lead there. So, and both players doing great, basically. So everyone hitting their 2, 3, and 5. So going into round 3, I'll throw it to John. What are the kind of your overall thoughts on the round 3? Everyone hitting, like I said, the 2, 3, and 5, and obviously Thomas winning the match, and then of course the challenge at the back end of the match. And your thoughts on that, and any questions for Thomas?
Oh, yeah. I think for me, still one of the most iconic matches that I think about when it comes to the Star Wars division is the Andres Cabrera versus Laura Kelly match from the first kind of Star Wars tournament, where like it was really just the one question that Laura missed, truly the very first question of the match. And then it was just like nonstop action where everybody knew literally everything else on the board. And it was just kind of that one question. And I think now we're kind of in a more interesting landscape of the Star Wars division specifically, where not only are there so many more new, unproven quantities going up against people who are constantly upping their game, but especially now that we are at the end of the Daemon dynasty as well, it really does feel like truly everything is up for grabs. Everybody is hungry, and they could get their dang dinner at any moment. So it's just very kind of exciting, and I love being able to see this round 3 where it truly was just back and forth all the way through. Kind of going off of that, Thomas, I guess one of my questions is, especially as one of the rookies, kind of what is more either scary or exciting as a competitor, going up against kind of your fellow rookie class who there's not a lot of information on them, and it is kind of like scary just to see what they do or don't know, right? Or folks that are kind of like more veterans that are more proven quantities like an Alex Damon or an Andrew DiMolanta.
So I come from a world where there's a mixed bag of that every single year. You get folks like Damon and Molly up on stage that are killers. And then you get folks that make it through the quiz and do really well, and you have no clue about them. And you're just like, well, I can't control what they do, but we'll see. I think there is an element where with folks like Ace and Laura, where you have game tape out there and you have a good feel for their consistency, that mentally, you're going to walk in and feel like, okay, they're not going to miss a question. So, I can't miss one either. And we've just got to lock in and do that. And we'll see like where the season takes. I mean, I've got Whiteley coming up in the tournament. He's coming off of, a really close, tough loss. And I think he's going to be hungry and dangerous in that match. So that's my sole focus right now, is getting ready for him. But if I get the chance to play somebody like an Ace or a Laura down the line, I've got to find a way to deal with that mentally, where Ace was a great example of that. He walked in and didn't blink against DiMolanta and Laura in those matches. And you could tell it didn't faze him. He didn't care one lick that they were who they were. They had the accuracy that they did. He was just sort of cool hand Luke through the whole match in both those times. And he was that way with Damon, even though the match didn't go his way. And you hear his comments after the match, and he's mad at himself. He's not shaken by Damon's performance. It's, hey, the dice didn't roll my way, and I had some gear slippages. So, I've got to channel some of that energy when the time comes.
Absolutely.
Just to remind.
Go ahead, Boggs. Remind people of something.
Just going to remind you of an absolute gorgeous shirt that you're wearing there, John. I just wanted to, remind everyone.
Of course.
Yeah,
I actually had a burger and
hungry.
fries. Yeah.
Exactly.
I wore this because I have to wear what I eat, of course, every day. It's like the old phrase goes.
Yeah.
And I do want to say something on Kaiser, saying, win or lose, we booze.
Yes.
And that is a great motto to live by.
Ooh, now I want Booze Philly cheesesteaks, a great chain out here in Los Angeles.
See that in the merch store.
Right.
Oh, please let us get sponsored by Booze. Oh, please. Oh, please. I've never asked for anything on this show.
LA to shoot with John Barr, where he's like, "Look, my name's John Barr, and I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I've moved here. And there's only one Philly cheesesteak that gets this guy from Philly going. It's..."
Gang, I'm going to be honest. If we had to choose between getting the Booze sponsorship and having Dan Murrell himself on the show and give each of us a nice little forehead kiss, I'm going Booze 9 times out of 10.
One pays for lunch every day of the week. The other is amazing at trivia. I believe Boggs was trying to tee up.
No, I'm just going to say, guys.
What are we
you're trying to get sponsors. You're trying to get sponsors. I do understand. But no, I was just going to say, send in your Streamlabs and Super Chats for any questions for Thomas. If you let me,
burger related questions.
Yeah, exactly. Clearly more important.
I'll field French fry questions. Are we going crinkle cut or your Chick-fil-A fries? We'll see.
My only last question, really, Thomas, was it's two really. So one, what was your overall thoughts on Kaiser's challenge? Did you think it was smart? Do you think it was a bit underhand? And secondly, obviously you're playing Eric Whiteley, of course. You're not just playing him though. You're playing Blind Wave. That comes with a huge fan base, as you know. Yep. So it's a little bit going against the Empire kind of thing. So So how is that? You looking forward to that, or because of course they're gonna let's say surround you before that match. So, yeah.
They were calling for Kaiser to get banned from the league. So I wonder what I'm going to get doxxed, and people will know where show up on my front.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
No, on the challenge, I thought that was a really good challenge. There's a reason. So the rule book affords you the ability for a rebuttal. You saw that in Damon's match. Mm-hmm. There's a reason I stayed quiet. I was confident in my answer. It's the EE3 carbine, at least. Unless we're talking about after it gets chopped in half and, he crawls out of it or whatever happens in the Sarlacc. But I was impressed. There aren't many managers that independently can pull a detail like that and make a challenge. They're just not, it's nothing against them. It's just the way the division is. And the Sarkos K11, it's a pistol, but it was from the animated special where he's introduced in the holiday special. And and so I'm thinking, I'm like, that's not his cannon weapon, but I mean that's not really relevant because the weapon he always has is the EE3. I mean, you can have whatever you want. Sounds like the
toy Kaiser would have had. He's like, my favorite Boba Fett toy is the holiday special Boba Fett toy.
Yeah, I'm not one of these chumps that I'm not going with the bandwagoners on the EE3. I'm going with the deep cut. So I had a heck of a lot of respect. And I also want to point out that Kate deserves a pat on the back for recognizing it. I mean, they called the winner. They were starting to shift into the interviews, and she flagged it. And I thought that was a great example of the sportsmanship that you see in this league. And, I was confident that they would come back, and I think Witt, you see his reaction, he knew that the question was right. But credit to Kaiser for having that random nugget from 40 some years ago stuck in his brain. As far as Eric goes, it's gonna be a literal wave of people. I mean, it was amazing to watch them take over the chat in the draft, watching them and their reaction and their involvement with the Hoey match was just sort of mind blowing. And I have every expectation. They want to see their guy win. And the thing about it is they're actively involved. It's not like these folks just I forget what they call them, the wave riders, but it's not like they just watch his shows and they have no interaction. They're happy. They're throwing in questions. They're doing study sessions and stuff. And so he's got an entire army beyond the faction, not to to mention the current belt holder training him.
Mhm.
So that's really dangerous. And I think anytime you catch somebody coming off a loss and like they have something to prove, whether he's got an audience or not, that's a dangerous person to play. And I think for good or bad, the hype and my performance in this past match, it just adds fuel to the fire. It's like another round of ammunition that he's got to be that much more motivated to come into this match. So I'm taking it very seriously. I take nothing from his match other than he's really, really good and he knows his stuff. And, but for a couple brain farts there, he might be coming into this 1-0. So it's going to be a slugfest.
And yeah, speaking of an army that loves to ask some questions, we got some questions from John Roca's Outlaw Nation. Soul, what are they saying this week from Mr. Harper?
So I'm going to actually start with my favorite question so far that has been written, which is by Drunken Prayer going, if you could babyfy any Star Wars character like Baby Yoda / Grogu, what character would it be?
That's a really great question.
Can we
I wish
answer this? I think we should.
Is it?
It's like I wish they had baby versions of droids because I feel like a baby BB-8 would be just adorable. It'd be like a golf ball with a marble on top or something.
Does
like that.
BB-8 not stand for Baby 8?
It should.
Is that not
It
what
should.
that? I gotta
It's a
rewatch that
question.
movie. I watched it wrong.
Now, if I'm going like a human character, I think Lando would have made a really cute. He was probably a cute baby, like crawling around. He probably had a mustache as an infant and a toddler, but I think like dressed up in like a little. Like I've got a toddler myself, and so it's funny. You dress them up in like, it's a daughter, so dresses and princess clothes and stuff. But I picture his mom putting him in like a little cape and whatever. I don't know.
That's why he became
question.
obsessed with capes.
The correct
Right.
answer is Baby Zeb. That is the
That would be-
correct answer.
You made that up. You went behind the camera. You constructed your own action figure, and you made that guy right up, Colin.
No, actually, so we are all about the history here. We've been educating people all night. Zeb is based on the original design for Chewbacca. So
That's right.
So yeah, baby original Chewbacca. Maybe not the glowing green eyes.
Yeah, we have Tushka in the chat with Baby Fett, Baby the Hutt, Jar Jar Babies.
You've seen a Baby the Hutt. You've got Rada, his own son.
It's canon.
You've seen babies.
Yeah, you've
They're all
seen
just
the
kinda-
Baby Hutt. Stinky little grub.
That's right. I've said that about every baby I've ever seen, and that includes my own baby photos. What's the next question, Soul?
We have from Jeremy Miller going, who was the most fun to play against at Dragon Con?
Oh, man, it's fun. This is like me knocking on myself. I didn't know who Alex was, and I didn't know that he had this massive YouTube channel. I knew him as the guy that always had this massive crowd there, and then like my wife would be there, like woo, and thanks, Jackal, I appreciate that. And so he's just a ton of fun because it like if you go back in our history, the questions that have decided matches against each other, whether it's a deciding first place or which of the two of us finishes ahead of each other, it's just wild. Like it's a wild array of stuff. I think I won on the Rex's Blaster one year. I beat him on a question about the Citadel, who runs the Citadel in the Clone Wars, the big Jedi prison. He beat me on what's the name of the song that the Cantina band is playing during the so in any event, it's fun because it's nerve wracking, and I want to just go like lay down after the match, but it's always fun because he's going to bring it. He's going to be there at the end, and he's going to bring the heat. So I like that.
What's the come down like after that? I'm curious. Like, I mean, I know it's probably a little bit different than a Schmoedown match because everyone is there for the same thing. So is it like, everyone just goes back to the con? The room has to fill in for something else? Or
they really do kick you out. It always ends on sudden death because they only have an hour block. They don't give it any more time than any other panel. And so they've got a panel lined up right after us. And if you've never been to Dragon Con, you absolutely should when things open up again. I'd recommend that con over anything except for Celebration. But that Star Wars room is always in the same place. It's in the Marriott in downtown Atlanta. And so you go out and you're 100 yards from the hotel bar, and like thousands of people cosplaying and having a good time. So like typically the MO is like me, Alex, Molly, Zach, whoever's around, we'll go just grab a beer and just be like, that was something.
Want to talk about anything but Star Wars?
No, it's less about like, congrats, you won this or that. It's like holy hell, like that was insane. Like just kind of laughing about the ridiculousness that we just sat through, because it's like you're at a con, you could be doing anything else, including like drinking and having a good time, but we subject ourselves to ridiculous Star Wars trivia. So
did you guys do that Zoom wise, like have like a Zoom happy hour after the virtual one last year?
No, I laid down on a bed for a little while. I was actually at the beach. If you watch the video, there's like this weird like beachy backdrop. I was at the beach playing that like on a family vacation. So I was petrified that my toddler was going to come running in. My youngest was a newborn at the time, and so it's a small place. We're in like this small condo. I'm in the master bedroom. They're like right on the other side of the wall. So I went out, and then my daughter's like, "Did you win, Daddy?" And I was like, "Nope." And she was like, "That's okay." And you're like, "Okay, life is still, life is good." Aww. So.
I mean, if your toddler ever wants to make an appearance, my niece made an appearance twice, running into my room several episodes.
Nobody would have me on. They would just invite. Can Evelyn come on now? Like, okay. Yeah.
Like what happened in the NBA Finals in the playoffs, like when Steph Curry's daughter runs up, Chris Paul's daughter runs up. They all steal the show.
They run the show. Yeah. The other guys just kind of throw balls in buckets. They're not the popular ones.
All right, and then we have from Chris Taylor going, would you ever consider competing in IG?
If you saw me compete in IG in singles, like I play along with my wife, I'm a little bit better in IG, but I watch those matches and I'm just in awe of the skill of the folks, especially with the expanded league that they have right now in terms of the new categories. I will, they'll spin Spider-Man movies and I'm like, I've seen these movies a lot. And then you get to the end of those questions. I'm like, I haven't seen any Spider-Man movies ever. What is that character? Because it's on a different level. So for somebody like Alex to cross from this division into IG, I don't think there's anybody else that's done that. I mean, singles, you see it a little bit, but it's mind blowing to me. So my focus right now is making a name for myself in Star Wars and managing that. I will never be in singles. I would get you if you would see the first KO in round 1 if I played singles. If IG is in my future, that's probably a little down the line.
And especially now that IG has expanded and added even more movies, it's an even scarier division.
Yeah, it's a lot of time commitment. It's like 300 movies, something like that. It's ridiculous.
Whereas like Star Wars it's a little less. Like there's a lot of information, but much less movies. And we have our last question from the guy that keeps the lights on here, Brian Brawler. He has to ask this every week, and we love him for it. What's your favorite Pokemon?
I'm going to have it's Pikachu, but I'm going to have a self-admission here. In the 90s, when I was growing up, I was huge into the Star Wars customizable card game. Like Magic came out first, and Star Wars came out second from a company named Decipher. Yeah, and so here you go. I still have all my cards. Just my favorite ones kind of scattered around. But I went to the card shop that I went to and played at. It was a small place, and so I was always trying to get people to play. Well, Pokemon came out, the card game, in '97, I think, and nobody wanted to play Star Wars anymore. All my friends that played Star Wars sold their cards, got rid of them, and then I didn't have anybody to play with. And I was so angry. I was like, I don't care how good this show is. I don't care how good that game is. Like, you've robbed me. Like, I would go to the shop and just kind of sit there and be like, I don't want to play that game. Like, yeah, I see that it does look fun, And those do look like cool creatures, but no, I don't want to on principle. So here we are, like 20 some years later, and I'm still holding the line.
Okay.
I still don't have anybody to play the game with. So
It looks like Colin is here to play with the game. With
I'm
you.
down. Look, there
He's
were
only
like
in South
there were
Carolina.
4 of us. Look, see, I'm a state over. Look, we got we're close.
Oh my gosh, you forgot how to talk.
We got a couple card rooms where they were playing some Star Wars at Books A Million, where it was like, oh, y'all playing Pokemon over there. It was the same conversation. Some folks were playing Star Wars over in the corner. I was like, I know what an AT-AT is. I see that's on a card. What are you doing, sir?
Teach me.
Like, teach me the ways of the Force.
If I was smart, I would have played both Magic and Pokemon, and I would have had, those cards are worth some ungodly amount, whereas most of my cards are worth like a nickel.
Yeah, it's
these days.
Unfortunate. So. Now you can just find any of them at a.
I see you, John. I see that.
Yeah.
What do you got? What's that?
It's a little Mew. It's not shiny or nothing, but I put it in a case because it's one of the only ones that I still own these days. So I was just like, hey, why not?
Stuff? I got some of the new stuff.
I don't recognize either of those.
I don't
things.
either, but some people do. And
what
it's
are those
money.
Beyblades?
I guess
when they start putting Beyblades
bring
on Pokemon
Beyblades back. I still got scars on my hand from Beyblade.
Oh boy. What else we got, Soul?
Terrible.
Those were the questions.
Yeah, no more questions. I think we got one more one patron waiting in the wings. We got Drunken Prayer. Come on down.
What's happening, my friend?
How's it going, bud?
Sorry, I was too busy looking for Pokemon cards in my drawer there to join
Let's go.
That's fair.
Apparently can't find any. What was going to ask? Thomas, what was the name of that carbine again?
The EE3 Blaster Carbine.
Let me do this one. Okay, cool.
May it rest in peace. In pieces, I guess. Buried on Tatooine somewhere.
Okay.
Wait, he has it in the Mandalorian, doesn't he? I always thought that was weird.
I mean, it's not the only. I can't imagine it's the only EE3, and I feel like if that's your gun of choice, you're gonna find another blaster like that.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy if he had the only one kind of that gun in the universe.
Solder it back together.
Yeah.
He dug through Tatooine. I'm going to find my gun.
That'd be like if they only made one wrench.
Dead body, Bantha Poodoo. There it is. There's the piece.
Take from Spaceballs, comb the desert.
Oh, God.
Any other questions beside the?
Yeah, I did actually have a sensible question. Sorry, that was something promoting peace of mind. I'll ask the same question I asked every Star Wars competitor. Have you played any of the video games, and which one's your favorite? If you have played any of them, and we've got 2 for reference.
Yeah, lately I don't get as much time as I'd like, just because of kids and just bound. Like, for those that don't know, I work both for the American Red Cross, and I'm still an Army reservist. So, having 2 jobs, Schmoedown's like a 3rd job at times. But so I don't nearly get the time that I used to. But I really loved Fallen Order. I walked into that game very, very skeptical and ready to be disappointed, and it caught me like immediately. And I just had a blast playing through that. Like, I've never. It's been a long time since I've had a game where I would like cut time every night. Like, I'd feel compelled to go play it. And so that was just a fun ride. And I've played through it 3 times now, something like that. Wow. Just to like, I don't know. I just like the world that was built up. The characters are great. There were some great tie-ins with some of the extended canon material, like the 9th sister, getting to see her and get killed by her many times. That was amazing. So yeah,
that's my go-to. Drunken, I appreciate you, brother. You
always
have some good
stuff. I was asking was because of that.
Oh, nice.
See, folks, education.
I like it.
We keep you educated.
Very nice.
But you can knock out a donkey with.
Yep. Sounds fair.
Is there a lot of donkeys in Scotland?
There's one at the local animal park. I'll go and test it out when let you know the results.
Drunken, thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate you. Cheers, brother. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Awesome. Thomas, it's always a pleasure, sir. And
it was a blast.
We give everyone now a chance to cut a promo. You got, Eric coming up. You got the rest of the Star Wars division to let them know what's going on with the major. Why ain't nothing to trifle with?
Look, I will address this to Eric and Eric alone. I saw your post-match interview. You seemed to think at some point that I said something about you being a YouTuber and not knowing Star Wars. Those words never came out of my mouth. But be certain in one thing, that the match is only going to end in one way, and that's with me full screen being declared as the winner. And to the to the Wave Riders, if I have that right, I want to talk to you as well. You are an amazing army, but the Den wants you. And after this match, recruitment is open. I am happy to sign your enlistment paperwork to join the Pride and get behind a true Jedi Master.
Woo.
Mm.
Woo.
Sounds like someone has been spending some time with the Force. He is one with it himself.
Those may be my last words if they see that and then come after me.
Bring
You
them
may
on
never
down.
see me
They can
again.
Come watch this video. Let's go.
I
Come
mean,
on,
we
y'all can
started
come
the
hang
hype,
out.
so we have to start your crucifixion too, right?
That's right. Yeah. See you later.
We'll be here when you rise on up. Either way, sir, it's always a pleasure. Please let
It
the
was a
people
blast.
know where they can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, you've got my Twitter handle there, as creative as it is, Thomas L. Harper. And I would encourage you to check out The Legal Geeks. It's a podcast that got me started podcasting. It's a legal blog that got me blogging for the first time. But I personally take Star Wars and look at weird legal issues within the movie. So like in A New Hope, where C-3PO and R2-D2 discriminated against when they got tossed out of the cantina. So odd stuff like that. In 2 weeks, when Bad Batch drops, we're going to be doing a special podcast with it, where we're going to go do an episode by episode breakdown of whatever craziness happens in terms of oddball legal issues. So it should be fun. And it's at The Legal Geeks on Twitter.
I'm hooked. I've subscribed already. I'm in. That to me is the kind of show that, like Star Wars, you take it and then you go down, you make like an outline and you're like, all right, next line down, please. And let's get deeper into this subject. And that's exactly what we need. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks,
we can't wait for your first round match against Eric. You got some fans here rooting for you in the tournament, bud.
All right. Take care. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you,
All right,
man.
we'll see you next time.
Dude.
Bye.
Woo. That's a killer.
Oh.
That's a killer right there. Ooh. We got
We got
another
a
one
tease.
too. That's
Trigger
a
happy.
tease right there. Y'all, Thomas is, and I said it at the top when I, went off on him. He's awesome. It's that moment that you gotta realize where, I mean, he didn't miss a question, right? I mean, we didn't mention that during the match breakdown. The guy didn't miss a question, so I think we just gotta end the conversation on that. Like, I'm still waiting on the man to miss one, and that's where my point was going before. Of, I want to see what truly stumps this guy, and we've seen what stumped Alex Damon. We've seen what stumps Dean Malanta, so it would be interesting to see what stumps Harper going forward. Folks, you want to be a part of this conversation? Go to www.streamlabs.com/the ultimate Schmoedown. Get those Streamlabs in. Come on. We like the super chats too, but Streamlabs a bit better. www.patreon.com/John Roca.
Like the video as well.
Oh, of course. Y'all know.
Like the video.
And if you
You're
put
on
a
YouTube.
comment, I'll read them out loud. So I mean,
Yeah.
you'll be famous on the show like Jeremy Miller, because
Yeah.
Jeremy Miller's famous on the show already.
He's a
While
good
you're
guy.
at it, buy us some food. We've talked a lot about food. We're just plugging.
I'm hungry.
Are we just? Yeah,
Just asking for things, yeah. Why not?
exactly. Yeah.
Why not?
Hey,
I
let's.
love Saul.
Closed mouths
is
don't get fed.
asking,
John. Yeah.
Saul is asking in the chat, does he have to put www on?
Maybe not, but I've been watching a lot of Legends of the Hidden Temple and Double Dare from the early and late 90s this week. They heavily emphasized the www. So shout out to Mark Summers and all those folks that drench that into our brain.
Well, I've been watching a lot of Schmoedown, and one of the
I know,
matches
that's what I
that
was
I
saying.
saw.
I
We want
know.
to talk about 3 Ws. Let's talk about
Let's get
someone
in.
this week who got one of those 3 and is also our guest. And I'm keeping this show on the goddamn rails with my bare hands. Everyone, please welcome King Khan to the screen.
It was a bit premature earlier, but yeah. Thanks for the intro.
How's it
We got
going,
it right
man?
that second time.
It's good. I also didn't know Downtown Griffey Nooms' brother was on the show. But
Oh, if I
That's
could
what
be
we
so
said when we
lucky.
joined. Yeah.
If I could only be so lucky. Yeah, how you doing, man? Congratulations on your win.
thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
You sound great. You
Yeah,
sound
I have.
great.
I
You
just
sound-
got the new microphone came in just
okay.
today. So yeah, I've corrected at least one issue from my match.
No worries. Let me tell you, you're still
Had way
coming off
worse.
looking like a pro. I mean, I've been worse. Yeah, I got this microphone specifically to help with this show, and I think the first 2 months that I had it, it was just me crying to Colin and Boggs, just being like, "Why won't it work yet, guys?"
Happens.
But let's talk about your match, because this was an absolute blast to watch you come in as, again, one of these rookies from this mystery team that Thomas Dagnino put together. So I was kind of curious going into this, being a rookie. Thankfully, you were also kind of going up, or not thankfully necessarily, but going up against a rookie as well. So it was kind of a chance for both of you to shoot your shots. But then also you were going up against someone from the dungeon who at this point is still kind of the reigning champion so far as faction standings go. So kind of, was that kind of double compounded fear for you, or was that just kind of excitement to really kind of prove yourself as this newcomer?
I mean, once I saw how much of a lead they had, it felt good to humble them a little bit and bring, the deficit down a little bit. So that was good. But I guess going in that, I wasn't too worried because, I know what I know. I know Flickinger has a YouTube channel, reviews movies for a living, but I specifically joined the Schmoedown because I think I'm really good at trivia, and so I was eager to prove it, and I think I did. So
Absolutely. I mean, it's sort of like the promo that came before. You were looking like the Mark Ellis, and he was looking like the Andrew Guy, where he was just kind of like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's hop on a show. I'm so ready to do it." And then you're just kind of like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just go." I remember you got brought in and you were already like, "No, dude, I don't want to do the pre-show
Exactly.
chit chat."
And then I threw out the Chris Stuckman burn, which
That's true. Colin, you know what that's like.
What?
So
Sorry.
round one.
Low blow, John. Low blow. What the hell?
That's the highest of honors I've ever received in my life.
True.
We have fun here, don't we? Round one.
F is for friends who do stuff together.
That's right, and that's a YouTube quote. I don't know. So round one, 7-6. We didn't have a perfect round, but in some ways that was even more exciting because it was just that much more of a nail biter, kind of really just going back and forth. You only missed one question, and you only missed it by you just listed the sequel instead of the first one.
Yeah, if I remembered the release date of Christmas Vacation and the original Vacation, but hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, and that's got to feel pretty good that your first mistake in the Schmoedown, you got it out of your system, and it was really just you just got the wrong one of the franchise. That was probably not too bad of a loss then there, I guess.
It wasn't like a complete brain shutdown where I just didn't write anything. So I'm glad that I got it out of the way, and then we can correct it for next time.
Absolutely, yeah. Soul, obviously, I think everybody had Khan winning this match except for me, and for that I am sorry. But yeah, kind of coming out of this, it really did seem like it was going back and forth. How are you feeling coming out of this round one as far as seeing how these two rookies were performing?
Yeah, and I love watching rookies play, especially because you see just how much passion they're coming in with and how much they really want to play the game and they take the game seriously. So watching you were calm, cool, collected. You were answering the questions. You kind of had, because we just spoke about the Star Wars match. It kind of was like, these aren't the droids you're looking for. This is the word you're not looking for. Moment,
exactly.
Be like, let me just erase that word real quick. I got a perfect round, right?
Yeah.
So I guess we talked going you did miss that question, missed the opportunity of the perfect round, but you must have felt really good about it going into round two. So what were your thought process? Okay, what's next? Is it just a question after question, or are you thinking the full game ahead, what's going to happen through round three?
I think my mentality was just, I don't know how Flickinger is going to do. So I just have to be prepared to answer every question that I can correctly. I have to be prepared to answer a 5-pointer. So even the slightest miss could come back to haunt me. So I just went in with that mindset, and thankfully I came out with a lead, which was nice, which gave me the opportunity to spin first.
Absolutely. And if you want to talk about, keeping that confidence up, round 2, you did stick with Matt and Ben after spinning it, and then you did get a perfect round 2. Granted, you check down. Well, you checked down to multiple choice, but you still got all the, don't sell yourself short. This was a really
still perfect in our eyes, King. Still perfect in our eyes.
Always room for improvement, but yes, thank you.
Yeah, well, I guess that's good as well to try and be like, no, let's always keep going forward. Let's keep improving. So I definitely respect that. But yeah, also I just wanted to make sure that we gave you your due diligence because that was really impressive. You really kind of helped to keep that lead moving forward. And then Flickinger had a little bit of a tougher second round. Obviously, you only managed to get one of the 2 steal opportunities from the Fisher King, not so much, but with the sex lies and videotapes, or videotapes singular. Or how many videotapes were in that movie?
That is one videotape.
You have to count the videotape that the movie is on itself. I don't know. That's math. But yeah, I mean, as far as kind of watching that second round happen, was there any part of you that was like, oh, it's zipped up, it's done? Or were you still kind of on the edge of your seat just being like, oh, don't get cocky?
I mean, probably by the 3rd time he went multiple choice, I was like, okay, I think I'm good here because, Festival Darlings, I think some of those questions were pretty easy, but, it can trip some people up. And so but as he kept going to multiple choice, I'm like, okay, I think I'm pretty good here. But I still had to stay in the mindset of, answer every question in front of me.
Absolutely. Oh, hold on a second. I just got a notification that we just got a Streamlab in from our dear friend Alan Smithy. Thanks again for the show. You are the ultimate. He capitalized the U. It's very fun. I like that. Thank you so much, Alan. Yeah, Bugs, I'm going to toss it over to you. Obviously, like I was saying, round 1, very close, going back and forth, very exciting. Round 2, there was a little bit of a gap. What were your thoughts kind of as the match went forward going into that round 2? How much do you feel like it almost kind of killed the momentum, but then on the other side really cemented King Khan as being someone that deserves to be in this game?
Yeah, so I think to be honest, I thought Flickinger had a good first round. Nothing wrong with finishing on 6, and as well, being a kind of celebrity, a big YouTube star, you don't know how they're going to play. And he seemed to be pretty strong. I thought, okay, let's see where he goes. And then obviously Khan doing really well himself in his spin. And then, but I did notice as soon as when it was his go, I did sense a bit of nervousness with him. He was cutting Kaiser off as he was trying to speak. When he was trying to give him advice about his round, he was like, no, let's just spin again. He was almost giving an indicator that he wasn't strong in that slice, and how disappointed he was to get Festival Darlings, and then Khan said, not the hardest round in the world, and he was struggling. So there was a few telltale signs, but again, it's his first match, so I'm not going to be too hard on the guy. So I can imagine people being a little bit frustrated because how invested some people are like Khan, and then obviously Flickinger was kind of just playing quite relaxed and stuff. But no, we won't take it. I won't see that. That's no slight against, first match, some people seem to be more invested after the match, so I'll give credit there. But I just wanted to Khan a couple of quick questions there. So firstly, going into match, getting the call to play Flickinger, I wanted to know what the kind of reaction was like, because like I said, he's a big YouTuber, he has hundreds of thousands of followers, so of everyone they could have put you against, what was it like to get in the call to play him as well? And secondly, if you don't mind me asking, obviously I don't know if you addressed it before, but where are you from originally, where are your parents ethnically, where they're from? I've got no idea. So
Sure. So I guess the first question was, when I heard I was going to play Flickinger, I was taken aback. I'm like, wow, that's the person you're putting me up against. Is a famous YouTuber. I'm like, all right, I'll accept the challenge, because the exchange drafted me for a reason, and that's to win. Mm-hmm. So I was ready for it. I had the entire faction behind me as I was preparing, and so I felt good, even though at the very beginning I was a little taken aback. And then the second question, I'm originally from upstate New York. Ithaca specifically, because my dad is a professor at Cornell. That's where I spent most of my life, and I only recently moved out to Irvine in Orange County about 3 years ago.
Nice. My roommate went to Ithaca. We got a lot of Ithaca folks. Those are good people.
Yeah.
I auditioned there to play trumpet. No joke. It's so random. Wow. Nice. The way the world works.
Small world.
Yeah. The famous Ithaca trumpeteers. All right. So one thing I will say, Con, obviously kind of going into your round 3, or rather,
My
you
lack
could
of
have
round
been going,
3, yeah.
you kind of talked about earlier, making sure that you kind of stuck in there. You didn't like leave the board blank or anything. You didn't hang your head too early. It did kind of feel like Flickinger, who of course none of us have any personal beef with. We're glad to see him in the game. Thank you so much for hanging out, John. He kind of hung his head a little bit in there. It did kind of seem like he was starting to beat himself up already. And I was kind of wondering, like, as far as you being the other kind of competitor across the board, watching that happen, was there any part of you that was like, you just wanted to reach out and just be like, come on, bud, you can say something?
Not really, because I want to win, but I was, I'm in the third one when I'm not answering questions. I'm listening to the opponent's questions and like seeing if I know the answer, because that's good to file away for future reference that I can answer questions in the categories that he got. So I wasn't really focused on if he knew them or not. It was just if I knew them or not. And obviously I won't reveal if I knew them or not, but yeah.
Of course not. Yeah. Is there any part of you, though, I guess that was a little bit disappointing that you didn't get your shot at any of those like round 3 questions? Obviously, it's been talked about before by many a person where it's like, oh yeah, sometime, oh shit, Ithaca, yes, upstate New York. Right. There we go.
There you go.
Brian Brawler's just outside of Albany, so he's an upstate New Yorker as well.
It's funny because most people I talk to have not even heard of Ithaca when I mentioned.
Oh, really?
So
yeah, most of my dad's family's from New Paltz.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no one knows where New Paltz is.
Yeah.
That's like in the middle of nowhere, New York. It's the party like state school, University of New York at New Paltz.
New Paltz just sounds like one of these Star Wars characters you made up. I don't know what you're talking about.
Could be. We don't know.
But yeah, dude, you also, like you had said, you came out of this match giving a -1 to the dungeon, which are kind of the big dogs right now, the folks to beat, and you quite literally beat them in 2 different ways. So again, like of all of the rookies that are kind of coming out of the Finstock Exchange right now, you've got quite a couple things already to your name, which is incredible. Does that at all make you feel like you've got more of a target on your back now as you're kind of entering the league with this 1-0 record, with also giving someone a -1, or are you more just focused on getting more play time?
I mean, in all honesty, I know I'm not going to get many matches that are as big of a layup as this was. So, I don't expect my next match to be against someone who didn't know the game going in, because it was kind of clear that Flickinger didn't know, like round 2 or round 3. So, I just have to stay prepared, keep training with the faction, and, prepare whoever's next. I'll be ready to face them, and hopefully it's another TKO, like I said in the post interview. Because
it's always fun.
We love hanging -1s. We've done it 4 times already, and we'll continue to do it if we have to.
Absolutely, Colin. There's so many, truly the faction shakeups that have happened within the first just couple months alone of the season has been very fascinating to see, as different factions keep going up and down, and knowing that the faction standings as they are right now could change by the time we talk again next week. Like, as far as we know, corruption's going to be at #1 by the time we're all done here.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't quite know how the math would have to work on that. I guess it might happen. I don't know. But kind of looking at what the Finstock Exchange has been able to do this early on in the season with a bunch of rookie matches early on with a lot of wins. Like, what? Oh, my gosh.
Wow. All right. You want me to play all the famous people? Okay.
Do you have any NFTs you can just kind of throw at his? But yeah, what kind of has you the most excited for this new Finstock Exchange, Colin?
Look, so this season has been surprising, to say the least. And I mean that in terms of my expectations. And I put this in the chat earlier. I owe an apology to Bobby Gucci. All right? I owe an apology.
A lot of people do.
Look, and I'm going to be one of the first to come out and say it on the show, all right? I issue an apology. If you would have asked me, like, the flip-flop, I had the dungeon being a real strong contender. And that's not to say they aren't. Obviously, you look at the top end. Yeah, you look at the top end of the dungeon, still the top end of the league. You got some of the greatest players to ever do it. And you can't take Eric's performance as indicative of, the entire way that the story of the dungeon's going to go this year. And I look over at what the exchange is doing, and it is absolutely terrifying, because all of a sudden Gucci's pulling these names out of a hat, and you're like, where is he pulling these people from? And Like
the dossier.
I know. We talked about it in our group this week. I feel like because I got the vaccine, I can see it now. I feel like the whole world is clear to me now. And I can see the dossier, and it's all slowly making sense that, oh my God, the Barbarian and Gucci knew what was happening the whole time. They say, we're here to get points when you belch, John Barr, and that is what we're here to see. Points, whether they're positive or taking people some negative ones.
That's very true, Colin, and thank you for making sure that we're going to have to add a disclaimer to this video saying the CDC has officially stated that no, the vaccine will not make you see things when it comes to movie trivia faction standings. We're going to have to put that.
No,
Sorry to
this
Johnson
video
and
is
Johnson.
not made for kids. Sorry, Google.
Gosh. Well, Soul, this show is made for patrons, and some of those patrons sometimes send in questions. What do the people have to ask for Dear King Kong?
I do want to say for one part that Gucci knowing about Three Kings Day on January 6th, that just like made my heart happy because as a Latino, we celebrate that. And every time I say to other people, I'm like, oh, Three Kings Day, January 6th, people are like, what is that?
Yeah.
It's Armenian Christmas as well. It's the same celebration. Yeah, it's like it's the real Christmas.
He also had
Go ahead, King.
He also had the best line of the match. I don't know if you guys caught it, but it was the line, he might look like King Kong, but he's actually a ding dong. That was the best line.
Yeah.
It was. He always has the best lines.
He always
does. Yeah, thank you.
Well, we have some patron questions here for you. So let's start off with Jeremy Miller again. Goes, who is your favorite real or fictional king?
Ooh,
Good question.
that's a good one. I mean, the easy answer is just to say King Kong because, for obvious reasons. But I'm trying to think of a different king. That's a tough one. Maybe King Arthur because so many movies have been made about him. And, that's
Green Knight.
Fictional or real? Are you saying he's fictional or are you saying he's real? Because that could be equally as controversial.
no comment.
It's in the dossier that you can now see, Colin.
Yeah. Are they going to make it available for patrons as well? The dossier.
Well,
yeah.
I'm not going to say yes or no, but if we win the faction title, maybe.
For $50 patrons, we have,
Right now, we're not releasing anything that we don't have to.
Damn it.
And then we have Bryant Brawler asking, what is an animated movie you've seen that most people haven't heard of or that you think is underrated?
I don't know if there's one that nobody has seen. I'm trying to think. But one of my favorite animated movies of all time is The Prince of Egypt.
I knew you were going to say that. I don't know how.
A lot of people do not give that movie enough credit for how beautiful it is, the songs, the insane amount of talented actors and actresses they got to voice all of the characters. It's a work of art, honestly, and I think more people should recognize
My
that.
mom bought that CD. That movie came out in 97?
98.
98? Yeah, 98. My mom bought the CD, and it was still in the car when she gave me the car 10 years later. And I was like, oh! Just jamming it to the Prince of Egypt soundtrack.
Yeah.
Bangers.
It's so good.
And then we have the last question here from Logan Burton asking, if you could have one superpower or super ability, what would it be?
Ooh, let's see. I think it might be a boring answer, but I'll say super speed. As also an animated guy, I one of my favorite anime movies is The Incredibles, and Dash is my favorite character from The Incredibles. Just that scene of him running away from the bad guys is an all timer. So
Running
I'd say
on water, where he runs over the lake and he's like, oh! he realizes how cool he is, as we're all also seeing how
it would
cool
just give me so much more time just to do things I want to do because I could just get to places faster as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm also a big animation guy, so I was thinking there, I was like, oh shoot, well my favorite animated movie is probably Lilo and Stitch, so do I want the power of just two other arms, laser guns, and hating water? I don't know. Do I like that?
I think I want the space taxi that he drove.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, do you remember the like interstitial commercials there used to be before like certain Disney VHS tapes where like it was that scene from Aladdin and then Stitch rolls up in his little taxi and just
That
steals
Lion King was
Jasmine
another
away.
one. Yeah.
Oh, the Lion
Yeah.
King as well.
Lion
Oh my
King one,
god.
yeah.
You
That's
know,
the whole
Disney,
thing.
they're a
Disney
terrifying
Plus.
conglomerate, but they've made
Listen
some good
to
movies.
us now. Disney Plus, put these things at the top of your show. People will love you forever and always. You know what you could do? You could put the whole whatever the White Castle building thing at the beginning of like every 80s and 90s VHS. Put that instead of the Disney Plus thing. I'm in every time.
Absolutely.
And do we have any patrons to come in to ask King Khan some questions?
I think everybody went to sleep. I think Scotland went to sleep. Drunken Prayers in Scotland, so he's hit everyone up tonight. And I think Boggs, what time is it? I think it's the same for you, right? You guys are on the same time.
Yes, it's like
It's
12:50 a.m. Yeah, so nearly 1 a.m. It's too late.
I mean, I was
But
almost
I've got a
up to
question.
midnight on the Gucci verse
Well,
yesterday.
yeah, Boggs,
so-
please take it away. What you
I've
got?
got a question. Yeah, if we do have any patrons, jump in. But just in terms of obviously, forget the Finstock Exchange. Just overall, who's your kind of favorite players that you've had, or you obviously, like you said, you've been watching the Schmoedown for a long time. Who are your favorite players, favorite teams, favorite division? Yeah, not just in singles. I mean, in other divisions. Just give us the lowdown.
So I can't pick anyone on the best faction.
No, because I know you're gonna say Roka, right?
Okay.
But
Okay,
except for
Just say it.
JT.
Just say it so we can pay another bill.
Okay,
Just
get out of
say
the
it.
way, and then yeah. That's
I'll
fine.
be careful, and I'll choose someone who's retired. I had a lot of fun watching Josh McCouga. You know, even if he wasn't the best at trivia, he knew how to entertain, and he knew, and sometimes he would pull the correct answer from out of nowhere. So anytime I would watch one of his matches. That was always a good time. So
Well, we got an audible. I think we do have one patron. Drunken
nice.
Prayer has shown
He woke up.
He woke up. It's Scotland time. It's not too late to ask a great question. What you got?
I never went to bed. Don't know what to talk about.
What is sleep? Yeah.
Kind of just gonna ask, I guess, how did you come up with your name? Like, obviously, King Can kind of rhymes, but how did you? Did you have any other? Did you have any alternative names that you were going to come up with for the Schmoedown? Did you have? Did you have like a list that you wrote out?
Someone on the Gucci verse last night suggested Donkey Khan, but you know that's that's not really gonna work. But yeah, King Khan. Besides the fact that it just writes itself, there is a backstory. I went to a small private middle school, and during 8th grade, at the end of the year, our entire school had like an Olympic style competition just for the fun of it on the last day of school. And as an 8th grader, I was chosen to be a captain. And as we were choosing like how to designate ourselves, the other classmates all chose king or queen as their title, but they all used their first name. And so when they got to me, they were like, King Jeffrey as my real name doesn't make a lot of sense, but King Khan sounds way cooler. So I adopted that for that day, and then it's carried on since then. I use it as my email address. I thought for the Schmoedown, it was good to bring it back, and so far it seems like people are liking it. So
we love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
I think we need to give all the people in Gucci's team names of chess pieces now. We can have King Can.
We already have great
Oh,
nicknames. We have a lot of
bishops.
great nicknames in the exchange already. But yes.
Well, my middle name's Rook, so if you need another
there you
chess
Oh, there you go.
piece,
We'll just build an entire chess set.
take the whole chess set if you want. Drunken Prayer, thank you so much, bud. We appreciate you coming in and hanging out all night. We love you, bud. We'll see you next week. We got one more, and I'm going to see if Alan, the director Smithy, can ask one question. I will put it to him because he's directed numerous movies. Can he direct a singular question at our desk?
I'll do my best. Hey, Khan, how's it going? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This one.
Now, okay, my question might be common knowledge, but I'm going to ask Khan.
All right.
What is the first film to feature Bobby Finstock?
I believe it's Teen Wolf.
Is that something everyone knows, by the way?
It's
Yeah.
When Gucci's your manager, you have to know that. So.
That's right. You got to know. So anyway, cool.
Oh.
Well, the other thing I guess is, well, I'm sorry, that was my one question. So,
no, you're good. So
No,
you
you're
got
good.
one
Go
more.
ahead,
You
go
got
ahead.
one more. I'll give you one more.
So, Khan, do you feel now that you're on a faction that you're studying is completely changed? Did you already have people helping you study? What's the deal?
I think just the training regimen is different because obviously before the Schmoedown, I would always watch movies. I'm one of those people who constantly pause a movie just to check, Wikipedia, see the cast list, see all the different details. I love doing that for some reason. So it takes me like 3 hours to watch a 2-hour movie.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's more focused now in the exchange. We have weekly sessions where we're just going over, wheel slices, and it's been very fun, but also very informative. And so that's helped me kind of focus in my knowledge.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, anyway, good
you're
to
the
meet
best.
you, and thanks again, guys and gal. Have a
Thanks for
good
streaming.
Thank you, director.
Thanks, brother. We appreciate you. Thanks
Yeah.
so much for the stream lab. And I'm gonna throw it over to Soul. Any final questions for the king?
I will say that they've asked a question about Sam Levine being the answer. They should probably ask that Gucci question. I mean, apparently everyone knows it, but they should ask it. That would be fun.
Mm.
Yeah.
And like Jay Washington has been in a few movies as well. You can ask some Schmoedown people movies, see if people really know, because if I remember correctly, both competitors missed that question, and Sam Levine walked around like, "Come on, guys."
Exactly, I remember that.
So if we can have a wrestlers in film, what you're saying, Soul, is we can have a schmoes in film category. It would be absolutely
Also,
fantastic.
we're waiting in the exchange. We're waiting for a draft day question because, as you know, downtown Griffey Nooms is in draft
Let's go.
day. So we're waiting for the draft day question.
Let's go. Let's go. We can do the whole thing, but Con, we don't have time. Man, any final plugs? And let the people know where they can find you on the interwebs when you're not smoking it at movie trivia.
I'm on Twitter at JJKAN1128. You can just follow me there. And you can catch us at the Finstock Exchange whenever we're on, because all of the after shows, because you're going to bring a lot of winners on. And if you want to bring winners on, you bring people from the exchange.
Boom.
And speaking of, obviously, one of the things we've been doing with everybody else on the show, and we'd love to give you the opportunity, if you've got any words, any biting criticisms of anybody out there in the world of Schmoedown that you feel like you got to talk to, let them know right now. Why should you be someone to be feared?
So I know there's a lot of people in the Facebook group or on Twitter who's saying, we haven't beaten anyone good yet. But you know what? Us in the exchange, we're scrimmaging with each other. I'm scrimmaging with John the Outlaw Roca. I'm scrimmaging with JTE. I'm scrimmaging with Downtown Griffey Nooms, the Tyrant. All of those players are at the top of their game. And, I'm not going to say who's winning those scrimmages, but they're very close. And so I think that should scare most people that, we're scrimmaging at the best, so we're going to bring our best when it actually counts.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for coming on to the show, dude. We really appreciate it. And have a lovely rest of your night, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for having me.
Congrats on the win.
Con.
Well,
I'm losing as far as picks go.
yeah,
I'm
I knew
losing.
that's why you wanted to bring it up and get it out of here, John. So let's
I
get
went
producer Sean
perfect.
on here.
I went
You did,
perfect.
my girl. I looked at that and I was like, "Soul, let's go." Is that
Yeah,
your
we
first
all
perfect
owe
week?
you an apology
Yeah.
for the Lon one, I think. Yeah. Because you said, like, when you guys all lose, you need to say something.
Yes.
You
I
did.
think, yeah.
We got the tape.
No,
We got the
I
tape.
need the apologies right now. Come on.
So before we bring
I'm sorry,
producer
baby.
Sean
I'm
on,
sorry.
we got a Streamlabs. Tushka, my man, my brethren, comes on and says, "Great show and a great slate of guests, of course. Keep up the hustle and being good ambassadors of the Outlaw Nation, even if John is looking like Dirt Randy in the corner there. Hashtag not box beef.
I don't track the reference. You're just calling me dirt. I don't love that.
Joe
One of the
Dirt,
things that-
that's all I got.
Well,
Let's bring on-
on.
Someone who is the exact opposite of Dirt. Our illustrious producer himself, Sean. Come on down. Let's get these picks out of the way. Let's get everybody home. Woo-wee. We got how many matches next week? We got 3. All right. So 3
So,
and then
the current standings.
right, 3 matches. Current standings. We'll start from the bottom. John Barr, 14 points. Colin, 16 points. Soul, 16 points, alphabetical order. Sean, 20 points. Boggs, 22 points. Look at him hiding behind his mic
Looky,
like
looky.
he's some shit or something over there. I see you over there. Let's get into this week's matches. Got 3 of them. Got Jessica Schloth of who's the Den. I was like, the Den. Who's DEN? Denver? I
Oh,
was like,
no.
are they playing Denver? versus Beth May of the Quirky Mercs. Sean, I'll throw it over to you.
I'm gonna. It's always weird to pick against rookies because you're like.
You got no take.
Beth May. Beth May.
Boggs?
I'm not sure. Is it sloth or sloth? I don't know how to pronounce
Schloth,
it. Anyone know?
sloth, emphasis on the syllable until I'm told otherwise.
Okay.
Welcome to the Ultimate Schmoedown After Show, where we are the ultimate show on knowing things about the Schmoedown. What's your pick, Bugs?
I will say sloth because I think people have spoke about her in the den where she's studying and stuff. I've not heard anything about Beth May, so I'm going for sloth.
How about you, Sol?
If I remember correctly, Beth May did awesome videos on the Facebook channel, so I'm going with Beth May.
John Barr.
Yeah, Beth May is hilarious. She does some really fun stuff. I think it's called Dungeons and Dads, or it might be called Dungeons and Daddies, the podcast.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go Beth May as well because she's just funny and entertaining, and I love that.
That's a pod I'd love to see you on. I'll take Jessica. Let's make this a bit more fun, and then we don't want to gang up on Boggs. Over to the second match of the week. We got Jacoby Bancroft of the Stars going up against, not to be mistaken for, Jacob Blunden.
JB versus JB.
Look at this. JB versus JB. This is a good call. The only difference is one letter. Let's see. John Barr, who you got?
I guess I'll go with Jacoby just because the Stars have paired Jacoby with Janine for the teams tournament, which is a huge honor. So that makes me we gotta pay attention.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing I got. So I'll pick up on what John said. I'll take the same pick on Jacoby. Boggs, over to you.
I think I remember Chance saying him as well. Like him, he's one to watch out for. But I do remember when that Blunden got drafted, he did like quite a really nice draft. I think he got really emotional stuff. So I did like that. I remember that. So I'll pick him just for that reason. Two rookies, hard to pick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an interesting week. You can definitely see that we're leading up to something on Saturday. But Sean, who you got?
I think I'll take JB.
Wow.
Sorry.
So clever.
Sorry. I thought one of you was going to do it, but no one was going to do it. So I was going to do it. The JB with corruption.
Aw.
Soul, close us out.
If I remember correctly, I think Jacob B. Bancroft
Oh boy.
has a title in the fan leagues, so I'm going Jacob E.
Jacob E. Indeed brings us to the last match of the week, Friday. Oh my goodness gracious, this is the Engineer Bowl. Let us pay attention to this. It is one Ben Goddard versus Josh Tapia himself, also known as JTE. Boggs, who you got?
I think we just learned over the last week to pick someone who's someone who's playing regular over someone who isn't or has time away. But I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to actually pick JTE, legend. I think these Finstock boys are killing it at the moment, and I'll just stick with him for that reason.
Sean, how about you?
JTE, no question.
Soul?
I'm going with JTE.
John?
I like keeping things spicy. I'm gonna go Ben Goddard.
All right, we're all going to gang up on John. JTE is.
All right, what's the worst that's gonna happen? I'm gonna be losing again next week. I'm already losing, baby. I don't care.
At
I'll
least
take
I'm not
every
in
wrong
last
answer.
anymore.
That's all we do here. We take people from the bottom and we take them to the top. And
Sorry,
like
guys.
that, I will ask before we close, everyone, and Soul, this is a little bit of extra work. I would like everyone to pick one person for the free-for-all. If you get this right, and I will propose this to everybody else here who's playing in the game, you should get 5 points added to your points total.
No
if you
deal.
pick the
No way.
free-for-all.
No
And it
way.
sounds like the winner wouldn't
No
want to
way.
do that.
We can't
Too many leaks out there. Too many leaks.
Yeah.
Not having that.
we
Not having
can't
that.
do it.
Oh, well, see how much fun you guys are?
I'm so worried about having.
I'm being fair. I'm being fair.
We just have to leave the free
Completely-
for all out, I think.
We completely dunked on Colin. We completely dunked on him. I'm a loser.
Seeing as the
and we were
person
meaner to Colin.
who only watches the Schmoedown, I'm not going to pick anyone then. And I'm going to remind everybody that Sunday is the new day next week for the Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow because the free-for-all is taking place on Saturday. I'm going to give everybody a chance to decompress, take a moment. We'll pick you guys up 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 p.m. for our people over on the island abroad. Just a reminder. But folks, it has been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to throw it around the horn. I'm going to start with the librarian Soul. Where can the fine folks find you?
And as Dom Toretto, right as you throw it over.
On cue. Ain't nothing else I want.
You can find me at Solongovan on Twitter. I'm going to keep it short.
Boggs.
Yeah, just catch us obviously next Sunday. Remember, 1 p.m. PST, 4 p.m. Eastern, blah, blah, blah. Yes, and catch us on the Pop Culture Universe for our reviews and reactions. We've got Falcon Winter Soldier review coming. So that should be fun as well. Can't wait to get into that.
John Barr.
John Barr tweets on Twitter and Instagram, plus the Tournament of Nerds tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific on Twitch and on YouTube of Hal Rudnick. It's going to be happening at 7 p.m. Pacific, and then it'll just be up as a backlog. So check it out on either Hal's Twitch or YouTube.
See that lustrous mustache.
That's right. Figure out why I did this.
Oh, I love it. I might do it. What do you think?
And thanks everyone for the super chats and Streamlabs as well.
Yes, thanks.
Well, you can find me at _Seymour. I'm talking about some crazy stuff right now. We got some crazy stuff going on in the world. We got to figure this stuff out. Let's get to the Schmoedowns next week. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. The free for all is going to be great. 3 matches, perfect setup for a Saturday free for all. It is truly fantastic. I'm excited because the horror free for all is kind of all we got last year in terms of like the grand scale of the game. The regular free-for-all is where the greats show up. And we will have some of the greats here. We promise you on Sunday, like I mentioned before, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, you will be right here to get the best of the Schmoedown breakdown. Let's go. Thank you for joining us for another edition of the Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow, folks. We'll see you next week. Bye.
I feel like Jay is just going to put Chandru in like a singles match.
He's going to take him. He's going to say, hey, go play some singles, kid.
He's just going to break him over his knee. Like that Emma Fife versus Chance Ellison
Or it could be the other way. Put him in a Star Wars match. Just shove him.